about America and democracy. There is no America. There is no democracy. We no longer live in a world of nations and ideologies. The world is a college of corporations, inexorably determined by the immutable bylaws of business. The world is a business. And I have chosen you to preach this evangel.
For all my free market healthcare robbing, stock stealing, retirement fund fucking with niggas. Fuck you little credit card scam and jewelry stealing, crack selling, liquor store robbing motherfuckers. Shout to the homies, Carnegie, OG, Willie Randolph Hearst, Baruch, Rockefeller, the real Rockefeller, my main bitch Leona, pour out a little Louis the 13th. Scott Rothstein, Jack Abramoff, hold your head. My Rothschild niggas, let's get this money. I spend my day pepping America overseas. Pension for the workers, nigga please. Embezzlement, etiquette, private settlement. I'm better with Confederate rhetoric from my mansion in Connecticut. Foreclose a big holes at the tenement. I twist words like a speech impediment. I hope you got good credit, bitch. If not, better get a new job with benefits. While I play golf with niggas and get cheddar with. New money buys brand new carrots. My old money bunch of great grandparents. You got grills in your mouth, I ain't mad at you. I own every gold mine in South Africa. Thanks, baby, you made me $1 billion. Plus, I own a building for each one of my children's children.
And I'm sorry, everybody. This is finally Chris J here. We're just a few minutes late, and I'm here with Beepa Schultz here in the studio. This is Voice Rebellion Radio, and we got a couple topics for you. But well, the main one we're doing, and this is a little idea that I came up with, is that the debate between the two major ideologies of the 20th century, I guess you could say, communism and fascism. And tonight I'll be taking the side of communism. But just to keep in mind to everybody, this is an entirely philosophical debate mainly, with some history involved. But our opinions that we talk about tonight may not actually reflect the person talking. Beepus will be taking the side of your... We'll be taking the more fascist stance here, but... But yeah, so we're gonna get started. Is that maybe the first one and the one that comes ultimately? Yes, that. See, he's already in character. We already got him in character. And yes, the only thing the workers can lose is their chains. What else? So what's some other commie sayings here? It's our shit, not my shit. And Beepus was actually scared, and he was actually scared to do the show in public. And as soon as we get on the show, like literally 2 minutes into the show, he's already talking about Jewish Bolshevikism. I mean, you got to hand it to him. But here's the thing, though. Where is your proof that? And again, like I said, where is your proof that the first Soviet government was actually a conspiracy of a rather kosher type? Where is your proof on that? I mean, I think the official Soviet document said something like 3% of their government was Jewish, which their population at the time was a very similar figure. So, where's your proof that it is 85% or whatnot is was claimed by many people nowadays?
Well, we all know their great, lovely founder father, Karl Marx himself. We call it Marxism, actually. We know he was a Jew. We know he was a Jew, and many other of the great leaders of the Soviet Union were also of the long-nosed tribe.
Okay, yeah, but where's your proof that all these people belong to the to the tribe? I mean, here's something that I want to point out is that Karl Marx, yes. Karl Marx, actually, that was true. I mean, he was, I think his mom or his dad was Jewish, and so Lenin was a quarter Jewish. Now, so this is saying is that the main thing we're debating is whether the entirety of the Soviet government, the claims are 85% of all the people, all the ministers in that first government was of the tribe. So this is that's what I'm saying. Where's your proof, Beepus? We need some names. We need some sources, because our very mighty comrades that founded the Soviet government, they wouldn't lie to us. They told the truth all the time. They told the truth about Holodomor, and that it didn't happen. And you know what else didn't happen? Is bread lines. That's not a reality. That's just that's some bourgeois propaganda right there, man. Yeah, Beepus.
How about this? Why I look this up real quick, because I don't know this off the top of my head, like right now. You explain what communism is to me, and we'll get on with the debate. I shall look this up.
Well, communism, at least what Marx wrote about, is the eventual creation of a stateless society that also is free from the binding of the restrictions that the class system has done to the workers of the world, and the idea that we can live in a more just society, and then the workers will rise up against the internal struggle against the bourgeoisie. So that's pretty much what Karl Marx wrote in this Communist Manifesto. Now, of course, is that Karl Marx, maybe what happened in practice might have been a little different, but that is what Marxism, as he wrote about, was. Do you have any refutations to that, Beepus?
So, is Marxism communism, or is, because the other day you said Marxism and communism are not the same thing. So,
that is true, yes.
So,
because communism has there's non-Marxian communism, like there's non-Marxian socialism. I'd say is that there's definitely, like, for example, would be Nasser of Egypt was a communist leader that didn't really practice the ideas of Marxism, and I would say Joseph Tito to an extent, because they practiced communism, but they still were nationalist at heart. And what they practiced was more of nationalism rather than the idea of, like I said, is that Marx talked about a stateless society and the eventual withering away of all the governments of the world for an anarcho-communist society. But in reality, the anarcho-communists actually do have the most purest and most direct form of Marxism, as was wrote in the Communist Manifesto.
All right. Well, I guess I will throw in what I believe in, like, is fascism. So, fascism is something, I guess, somewhat similar, except not exactly stateless, because there's no such thing as a not stateless. Well, it's not stateless.
They actually do exist. If you're going to say anarcho-fascists, they do exist. Just look deep enough on Facebook and you'll find them.
I've never met them, and that's like a complete oxymoron. That makes literally no sense.
It's a bad meme.
It is a very bad meme. That's as bad as the anarcho-capitalist and anarcho-communist.
Whoa. Oh shit, he just anarcho-capitalist, he just dissed you, and there's like a shit ton of you on this network, so oh shit, okay, let's let him explain.
Well, hold on, let me continue what fascism is, because it's like widely misrepresentative. So in a fascist society, it's not obviously stateless, because I mean, no matter which way you put it, humanity will always follow some form of a state government. Like, you could sit here and go on and on about how anarchy will always be a thing and stuff, but every anarchy society gets crushed by a much stronger force, and that's it. Doesn't matter if it's communistic or fascist or monarchy or democracy. If it's stronger, it will destroy you, because anarchy is just too disorganized. Now, as for a class, they don't really believe in a poor class. They want everyone to be at least middle to upper class, I guess is a good way to put it. So you're working your hardest to be the best you can be, and to not just better the nation, but to better your own community and your own self as well. It's all about improving yourself, because you are the nation. You are what makes the nation great. You are the bearer of the torch, the pilot of the ship, and you must direct the nation into a rightful path and not onto the rocks of the sea.
Okay, that's some pretty good stuff right there. That's I gotta admit, that's definitely inspirational. But let's go on to that. Is that okay? Now, the ideology in practice. What is it? What does it ultimately led up to? Is that if we go into the philosophical, it sounds all good, just like the works of Marx sound all good on paper. But then you think about it a little bit and what actually happened. And wait, I'm supposed to be supporting Marx. I'm like, I meant it's not like that, because Marx, everything went out. Well, I'm supposed to be, I guess, communism in general, but I'm in Marx, and for the sake of this debate, I'm arguing in favor of him too, our lovely founder. And I'll do a little bit of both. I mean, like I explained, there's non-Marxian communism, but getting back to the point is that when it comes to when it comes to that ideology in practice, I mean, let's look at what it's actually has been done. And also, do you agree with the idea that fascism is the merger of corporate and state power, as defined by Benito Mussolini?
Do I think fascism is the
merger of corporate and state power?
Yes, I would, because like here in America, or like capitalistic society is like it's not really that great. It's just major fast food restaurants, these huge
McDonald's sucks.
Yeah, McDonald's and stuff. Like, I mean, that's like the leading killer in America is obesity, and there's like a McDonald's every like.
So I don't know how the hell these people are getting obese when they have to wait 20 fucking minutes for 4 items. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. We had a little experience prior to the show.
Yeah. Chris went and got like chicken nuggets, and he had to wait 20 minutes to get his chicken McNuggets. I mean, he had to start like a real communist, I guess.
That's a good one. You got me there. But, then in that case, do you believe though?
Hold on, let me get back to my point about like capitalism real quick.
Okay.
So you say it's like the merger of like state and corporate power. So
Is what fascism is.
yes, so in a sense, yes, it would be that way because like we're already in a corporate system as is. That's what we live in, an oligarchy basically. So instead of the state running these private organizations, it's the organizations that run the government, the state. There are politicians and stuff, so they're not really making the best choices in the name of the nation, but in the name of their own company. So that leads to, well, obviously a horrible economy and other horrible things, as well as political corruption and, you know, Pizzagate.
Okay, well, let's go on to the next thing though. Is that do you think that fascism is different than oligarchy?
No, I would not, because it's the.
So you said that you think that I asked if they thought they were different, and you said that no, they're not different. So are you saying that fascism is ultimately just another form of oligarchy?
I mean, there's a good way to see it that way. You know, it does get that rep, but I would say no, because an oligarchy doesn't care about the culture of its people, while fascism tries to preserve that as best as it can. It tries to, you know, in an oligarchy, it doesn't give a shit who they're employing. They just want employees. So, for example, like Walmart. Walmart would hire illegal, like they'll hire most people that are in for open borders and stuff. They don't really care about the people like in this country that are unemployed, because, you know, these big corporations can always supply these horrible little minimum fucking penny shopping jobs that get you really nowhere. So you're just a wage slave for most of your life. While in a fascist society, it makes sure that kind of level of corruption is being like stopped, I guess you would say. Like, it goes in and makes sure that the workers are legal. There is no, I guess, money scandaling going on. I mean, it's not the most perfect thing in the world, you know, but it's a good way to see it that way, I guess.
Okay. So you think that, but is that in your opinion about that? Is that we're talking about the the oligarchy, and but you had there were some pretty big proponents of that ideology back in the 1920s and 30s that were very rich. One of them I just brought up on our computer, which I'm sorry guys that I didn't get onto the visual platform yet, but we'll probably edit this one to have some memes on there and stuff like that. But Mr. Henry Ford himself, the richest man practically in the 1920s and 30s, was actually a proponent of the fascist ideology, and actually was one of, when it comes to in Germany, was actually like one of the Americans that was really liked by the Einführer. So I mean, he actually had a picture on his desk of Henry Ford. So and this wasn't the only industrialist. In fact, Texaco, Firestone, and many other giant industrialists of the 1920s and 30s gave aid to fascism in Europe. And in fact, even Prescott Bush, yes, of the Bush family, gave aid to Adolf Hitler. So it's like, when you think of it that way, when you look at one of the top globalist families in this country, one of the biggest scumbag families in this country, gave aid to who. So it's like, ultimately, when you look at it now, does it really seem like the government standing up for you, standing up for the average person, or does it seem like this ideology is the government standing up for a few very rich people, very similar to what we live in today?
Well, I mean, in those times, that kind of ideology was like, it's not much different than today, I guess you would say. Like, so much press, so much public support is against it, like everywhere. Like, you got people that aren't even fash that are going to like universities, and people are just chimping out, throwing chairs, burning the place down. All like, just like, let's say Milo.
They're getting swifty and shitting on the floor.
Yeah, like Milo Yiannopoulos, for example, like a gay Jew, basically, and they burned down that place in Berkeley I think it was like January or February, and they just went apeshit, and they're like, Nazi, fascist scumbag, like all these people just going ham. And My question is why is it such a forbidden ideology? Why can you not talk about it? Why is it not looked upon? Why is it constantly seen as the worst thing in the world?
Okay.
And
what about the fact that you guys have killed 27 million of our people?
You killed 27 million people.
Yeah, we didn't kill the 27 million. You did. You Germans.
You starved them to death and then sent them into a line of fire.
Okay. So
You just suck at tactics.
Suka. Okay, Suka. We'll drink some vodka and have a little fist fight.
I
And
don't want your vodka. I want schnapps.
oh fuck, this guy is unrecoverable. He'll never have spirit of Slav. Slavic Jesus will smite you.
Ha ha ha! Look at me. I'm a poor starving Slav boy. Ha ha! Look at our rich culture. Ha ha ha!
Hey. Slavic culture is great.
Slavic culture is just getting drunk in the snow and dying.
Well, I'm gonna go cry now. Congratulations! You'll have made Slav man very sad, and now we will go and we'll go starve some Ukrainians in revenge. Oh shit! I wasn't supposed to admit to that. Oh fuck! No. Sorry. I meant by starve some Ukrainians. I meant pet some puppies. You know, we pet puppies, and we don't starve Ukrainians. We do good stuff. We
Send them to the gulag.
Well, the dogs only go to gulag if they like greedy and want more food than what we give them. But you know that's. Yeah. Anyways, going back from Slav man. We're gonna go. I'm gonna ask you the next thing, and I know it's been pretty much this is the first half hour of the show. I wanted to just really ingrain it into you. What is your we're talking about now. Next thing is that now you talk about how what the Soviets did to their own people supposedly. I'm gonna say supposedly, but what about what the Nazis did to their own people? I mean, those people that were not it wasn't just people that were just one ethnicity. It was Slavs, like you mentioned. It was people that lived in Germany their entire lives. People of different political positions were sent to prison just because of what they believed. So I mean,
the same thing happened in communistic countries. So it's very no different. The same. I mean, we're not really sending people to jail over political discussion, but what we're doing or what our country is doing is clearly no better. We're just starting wars because, they're paying top shekels. So, I mean, there is no such thing as a perfect ideology. There will be no such thing as a utopia. But it's how comfortable you can make your people live.
Perfect ideology, Strasserism.
I don't know what to say about that. I'm just gonna be neutral. I don't know much about it.
I just pretty much conceded the entire debate to you because I pretty much just was like, hey, yeah, the left-wing version of your ideology is all good. Pretty much is what I said.
Well, fascism is neither left-wing nor is it right-wing. It's center. It's
now that is wrong. I don't care if you're fascist, Muslim, you're communist, or Jew. You're all not American conservative, so you're left wing.
Amen. God bless. Get the heck out of my country. God bless.
Exactly. Roy Moore, 2020.
I don't know who Roy Moore is. Sadly,
He was that idiot Alabama senator. He was running for senator. And he was pretty much like.
Oh wait, I remember this. Yeah.
He was pretty much like one of the most despicable candidates you can think of. Literally, he got banned from malls in his 30s for pretty much preying on 15-year-old girls and shit. And then they actually, he actually almost won the fucking election. But then again, the person that he was running against is also terrible. Which is at this point, this is what our candidacies our candidates are left down to. Either we vote for some terrible candidate on the other side, we vote for another, an even more corrupt potentially candidate on the other side. But Roy Marcel. But let's go down to the next thing is that, but where is your proof that, and maybe you can ask the same question about me, but where's your proof that the Soviets did all these things? That the communists actually did, genocide, the Ukrainians, sent the 27 million the 27 million people that went to die in the snow supposedly in World War II. not all of them were prisoners. Not all of them, maybe their tactics were not good, but ultimately, still, you guys seized Leningrad. You guys seized Moscow. So.
Okay. Well, this is the thing that I found on Wikipedia, so I don't know how accurate it's going to be, but here we go.
Western spy media.
The Holodomor Ukrainian. Okay, I don't know what this weird definition is.
Let me see it.
Alright, the Holodomor, also known as the Terror Famine, and the famine genocide in Ukraine.
I think if you're trying to read Russian, that's why.
Yeah, I know, that's why. And before the widespread use of the term Holodomor, and sometimes currently also referred to as the Great Famine, the Ukrainian genocide of 1932 through 33 was a man-made famine in the Soviet Ukraine in 1932 and 1933 that killed an official estimate of 7 million to 10 million people. It was part of the wider Soviet famine of 1932 through 33, which affected the major grain-producing areas of the country. Now, that all happened within a year.
Okay. Now here's my rebuttal to that. And this is from Sputnik News, which is a popular Russian media source today.
Hold on. There's way more. During the Holodomor incident, millions of inhabitants of Ukraine, the majority of whom were ethnic Ukrainians, died of starvation and a peacetime catastrophe. I can't say that word. What does that word say?
Wait, where?
Unprecedented. I'm retarded. In the history of Ukraine. Since 2006, the Holodomor has been recognized by Ukraine and 15 other countries as genocide of the Ukrainian people carried out by the Soviet government. Early estimates of the death toll by scholars and government officials varied greatly. Anywhere from 1.6 to 12 million ethnic Ukrainians were said to have perished as a result of the famine. Recent research has since narrowed the estimates between 2.5 and 7.5 million. The exact number of deaths is hard to determine due to the lack of records, but the number of increases significantly when the deaths in heavily Ukrainian populated Cuban are included. Older estimates are still being often cited in political commentary. According to the findings of the Court of Appeal of Kyiv in 2010, the demographic losses due to the famine amounted to 10 million, with 3.9 million directed famine deaths and a further 6.1 million birth defect. And then, yeah.
Okay. So I got the little rebuttal here.
Alright.
Okay, so about shit, I almost went the mic. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
So, let me scoot that back a little bit. So, Holodomor, hoax. Joseph Stalin's crime that never took place. So this is from Sputnik News, and let's see. Let me read this article to you. So, playing into the hands of Ukrainian nationalists, a monument in the so-called Ukrainian Holodomor, dun dun dun, one of the 20th century's most famous and vitriolic pieces of anti-Soviet bullshit, that's not what's said there, but has been erected in the United States Capitol. And it says, remarkably, the roots of Holodomor, which the term means deliberate starvation, lie, and the long-standing Cold War standoff between Soviet Russia and the Western spies. After the defeat of Nazi Germany in 1945, infamous Nazi collaborators, members of the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, and their paramilitary UPA units, nice guys, fled into Western Europe and the United States, escaping punishment from their horrendous crimes, including ruthless terror against peaceful Jewish, Ukrainian, Russian civilians. In 1949, the CIA, the CIA's in here, and U.S. State Department sponsored the OUN-UPA leaders' immigration to the United States. See? Okay, Operation Paperclip right there, planning to use them as subversion groups and intelligence agents against Mother Russia. One of them, Mykola Lebed, was characterized as a well-known sadist and collaborator of the Germans by the CIA. According to Swedish-American historian Dr. Per Anders, ruling in his book, The OUN, the UPA, and the Holocaust, a study in the manufacturing of historical myths. However, this fact had not been prevented from recruiting the former Nazi collaborator. And the guy, this collaborator that they worked with, Mykola Lebed, was responsible for the murder of Poles in Volhynia and Eastern Galicia, lived in Queens, New York until the fucking 1990s. This guy lived like 50 years after the war. Totally supported by the CIA or State Department, the U.S. expert in Soviet history, Professor Grover Karfer, of Montclair State University narrated in an interview with Sputnik in May 2015. And it goes on to say the CIA believed that Ukrainian nationalism could be used as an efficient Cold War weapon. And it's pretty much the paragraph is redundant. By using these formal and informal academic networks, the Ukrainian nationalists have been disseminating anti-Russian propaganda, creating myths and rewriting history at the same time whitewashing the war crimes of the Nazi group, the OUN-UPA, which were the Ukrainian nationalist Nazi group. One of these myths was Holodomor, that claimed that the USSR and its leader Joseph Stalin deliberately starved to death 3 to 7 million Ukrainians. And after the collapse of the USSR, the Ukrainian diaspora, a bunch of people left, played a substantial role in shaping the ideology of the new Ukrainian state. Unlike many of the former Soviet republics, the Ukrainian government did not need to develop a new national myth from scratch, but imported concepts that were already created during the Cold War to try to make Russia look bad. And however, it was under Ukrainian President Viktor Yushchenko who gained his power after the Western supported the Orange Revolution. Who was behind the Orange Revolution? Soros. And when the anti-Russian myths making caught its second win in Ukraine. So a Soros friend was actually who Soros, we know, as a kid, played ball with the Nazis, was one of the people that pushed this modern resurgence of the Holodomor idea. Both Russian and Western historians have questioned the Holodomor concept, as well as evidently exaggerating number of victims of the famine in 32 to 33. And so it goes on for a while, but there you go right there. Is that a Soros puppet was the one that practically brought it back after many years of it kind of being in the quiet, Holodomor. A Soros friend.
Alright, well, here's the thing about the denial of it. Holodomor denial is the assertion that 1932 and through 33 genocide in the Soviet Ukraine either did not occur or did occur, but was not a premeditated act. Denying the existence of the famine was a Soviet state position and reflected in both Soviet propaganda and the work of some Western journalists and intellectuals, including George Bernard Shaw, Walter Duranty, and Louis Fisher. In the Soviet Union, authorities all but banned discussion of the famine, and Ukrainian historian Stan Islov Kluchidich, I can't pronounce that. Can you pronounce that name?
It's Stanislav, or no, yeah.
We're just going to call him Stan K, everybody. Stan K stated the Soviet government ordered him to falsify his findings and depict the famine as an unavoidable natural disaster to absolve the Communist Party and uphold the legacy of Stalin.
Okay, but the thing is, though, you see the people. Your denial is coming from the Soviet government. Now, who do you trust? Would you rather trust the Soviet government in the current all these different historians, or those historians and Soros and his allies? Because that's ultimately, when you look at it, who brought it back in. After all those years, dug it out and was like, hey, look. It's like, yeah, Ukraine totally got fucked by the Russians in 1932-33. But we found out, you talk about quite a bit about with me in private about the Orange Revolutions. And then the guy that brought it back was was brought in by the Orange Revolution. So
just because some guy who works with these, super shows is talking about something that happened way back then.
Well, it's not that he just was talking about it. It's that it was pretty much the modern resurgence of the talk about Holodomor happened under him.
Okay, so, but what exactly is wrong with that? Because under the Soviet government, you weren't allowed to talk about that. You would have got shot or sent off to Serbia.
Well, it wouldn't be Serbia because they were under you. That was a different country. You'd be sent to Siberia.
Siberia, my bad.
Shit, probably getting sent to Serbia would probably be an upgrade from living would not be an upgrade because the Soviet Union was a great country. It was a workers' paradise. I can't do this. Okay, I can't see. I can't keep pretending to be a commie.
Oy vey.
Oh. And talk about that. Let's get into the next thing. Is that we never really affirmed my point at the beginning of the show, is that supposedly the Soviet Union is a conspiracy of the tribe. Where is your I know it sounds cool. I like that's I like referencing it. I mean, it's better than how you reference them with the with a certain currency followed by Steen. Correct. You have officially won. You won 500 shekels. You're a good boy. Yeah. So, by the way, everybody, the reason why I'm defending communism on the show is it's been proven by Beepus, and I actually am. I'm coming out. My name is not really Chris J. It's Chris J. It's it's Chris J. Steen. And by the way, you all need to tone down with your anti-Semitic comments because. Right. You're being bad boys.
So I found this weird website, and it's called the YIVO Encyclopedia of Jews in Eastern Europe. And
that sounds that sounds objective.
And it says here Jews played a prominent. I can't say that word. Prominent role. God, my fucking vocabulary is awful. Prominent role in
the superior IQ.
Prominent role in the Communist Party from its inception. It came into being as the Bolsheviks faction of the Russian Social Democratic Work Party, aka the RSDWP, in 1903, becoming the Russian Communist Party of Bolsheviks in 1918, the All-Union Communist Party of Bolsheviks in 1925, and the Communist Party of the Soviet Union in 1952. Meanwhile, party membership did not imply genuine precipitation and governance, let alone decision-making. It was a I cannot say that word. What does that say?
A prerequisite.
Requisite for public activity and facilitated promotion and employment and advancement in education policy, demanded perennial God, my fucking vocabulary, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to ignore that word. Adjustment of the membership in order to prevent undue disequilibrium. My God, here. We're just gonna. God damn it. Alright, hold on. I just exited out of the fucking page now. Alright, here we go. Next paragraph we're on. Jews were proportionally overrepresented. My God, here, you just read it, Chris. I can't read it. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna go get a problem.
Oh yeah, you need that to think clearly. So it's wait, what part were you on? Sorry.
That last paragraph.
Where it says about the Mensheviks.
It's just right there. Yeah.
Okay. So this is what the article says. It says Jews were proportionally overrepresented in the RSWP from the start. Apart from being active in the party's faction of the tribe, the Bund which sought to mobilize the says the Jewish street by conducting propaganda activity in Yiddish. Says that the tribe comprised a significant portion of the party's Russian contingent. These acculturated people of the tribe generally inclined toward the Mensheviks rather than the Bolsheviks. But even among the latter, there were not a few Jews. In early 1917, their numbers reached just under 1,000 out of a total of 23,600. Most important, they were highly overrepresented the Bolshevik leadership. Significant figures included Lury Kamenev, Maxim Litanov, Karl Radek, Aikov, Sverdlov, Leon Trotsky, and Grigory Zionev. This is so blatantly that the anti-Bolsheviks frequently associate the party with people of the tribe in order to contaminate the party's public image. And it says here that at the party's Congress held in August 1917, a total of 29 out of 171 delegates were of the tribe. The second most represented ethnic group after the Russians. Moreover, 6 of the 17 Central Committee members were the tribe. The Central Committee was responsible for directing party work between Congresses. Although so many people of the tribe were linked to Trotsky and the opposition to Stalin in the mid and late 1920s, and no Jews remained in the Politburo following the dismissal of Trotsky, Zionev, and Kamenev in 1926 until the appointment of Lazar Kaganovich. Jews accounted for, it says here, only 10.9% of the delegates in the 16th Party Congress in 1930. Indeed, they formed 10.1% of the Central Committee in 1939, 11 full and 3 candidate members. Although several, including Ian Gamarnik, Iri Stevlov, Ginrich Ygolda and Iona Yakir had fallen victim to the purges by Stalin of 1936 to 1938. And it says here the number of Jewish Party members swelled after the Bolshevik takeover in October 1917, especially in the first decade of Bolshevik rule, when, among others, the left wing of the Bund, the Komorfa band, and that of Poyal Tsion, the EKP, not going to even try to spell that, because that's in Russian, that's why. Okay, in 1921, 1922, indeed, it was...
Did you get your answer that you wanted?
Well, I mean, yeah, but look at literally the name of what's the name of the website? It says the Yevio X Encyclopedia, and what was the name of the article? Okay, I said the name of the article because you said it originally was of evil Jews in the Soviet Union. I thought that's what you said. So I was like, I thought that's what the article said. So I was like, that's why I said, oh, so objective. And then I realized, okay, this is actually like a.
What did the article say, Chris? What did I say? Did I say evil Jews?
I think you did.
I did not say evil Jews. I said what the article says. Now, what did this article say?
It says the Yevio Encyclopedia of Jews in Western Europe, Communist Party of the Soviet Union.
Oh, okay. I can see why you thought I said evil.
Yeah, I think I heard the Yevo, and I was like, I thought you said the Evil Encyclopedia of Jews in Eastern Europe. But I was like, holy fuck, that is a very biased website. But now look here, this is actually, it looks to be a pro-Jewish, like this is a website that has...
Pro-Jews, telling about how pro-Jew they were about bringing up communism.
Okay, but it wasn't, I mean, it's not the numbers that they were saying, oh shit, okay. I saw some statistics there. Let's see. It says Jews made the sole ethnic group as women comprising more than 20% of its membership in 1922 and 23% in 1927. So they were talking about Ukraine there, but it's not the numbers that they were talking about. Like you said, 85%. Like,
well, I never said 85%.
But that's what like a lot of people in the right say that it was 80%. Like that's also what the number that Alexander Selechtyan, the guy that's often quoted by people on the right, said that there was a number of Jews that were the percentage of Jewish people in the first Soviet government. So
I don't know about how big the percentage is. I do know they played a very important role of bringing up communism. Like, remember that Chinese guy that you told me about, and how he was like one of the main runners of the Communistic Party, but he was a Jew that was born in like Eastern Europe or something?
Yeah, Israel Epstein.
Yeah, him.
Oh wait, oh yeah, no, just refute that was that's that.
You just admitted it, Chris. I've already won this debate.
Hey, look, just that is fascist propaganda. The Israel Epstein, we don't know anything about that. Yeah. Again. I don't know, but I'm assuming that. See, he's expounding out Nazi propaganda on my network now. Look what he's doing over there. Now, let's go to the next thing. Is that what did fascism actually do for the workers of Europe compared to in the Soviet Union? Soviet Union, they made an industrialized country. By the time in the 1950s, they beat you guys in a war. And what else happened? They brought Russia from a poor third world country, heavily industrialized country. They brought all kinds of social programs to the people of the Soviet Union, and and also eliminated anti-Semitism that existed in the country prior to the Soviet Union. So we did a lot of stuff. What did fascists bring to Europe? It brought war, brought misery, brought authoritarian leaders that ultimately all fell apart and got their asses kicked in a world war. Boom.
What did fascism bring? Nigga, nearly most of all the modern technology we use today, like, do you know who von Braun is? Do you not know who these people are?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was making his evil Nazi rockets to go to an evil...
We took these evil Nazis and we made them make rockets for us. There was no American space race, it was the German space race, used by German scientists.
God damn it, you're not going to talk about, we went to the fucking moon and we had nothing to do with you fucking Krauts. You know, we went to the moon with our own forces. You know, didn't you see that movie? Didn't you see that the Buzz Lightyear landed on the moon and said that thing about the one step for man, one giant leap for mankind? Yeah, it was Buzz Lightyear, man. Don't you know? That's why they made the toy. That's why he's in a Toy Story. He's an American hero, and I don't want you laughing about an American hero. Damn it! You better stand for that fucking anthem. Yeah.
Another thing that fascism has brought is, like, as you say, for workers' rights. Well, under a communistic, open state, borderless state society, how does it really benefit the worker? And I mean, this could also go for those anarcho-capitalists who are listening in as well. So, for example,
bring the heat.
In a fascist society, we don't want to exploit our workers because that doesn't make much sense to exploit your own people. So, in our current capitalistic society, they don't really care about who they're hiring. As I said before, like, they could be hiring illegal immigrants because it's cheaper in labor, and they don't gotta pay as much. But in the end of the day, how does that really benefit the American worker? How does that benefit America as whole? That benefits the company, yes, but does it benefit the country? No. And this can also be said with communism, because, like, when they preach about multiracialism or multiculturalism, they aren't really speaking of brotherhood. They aren't really talking about the unity of man. What they just want is cheap workers. That's all they want. So they can get around all these, like, wage laws and stuff, all this regulation. Because, if they aren't citizens of the nation, then they aren't really people. They're just schmucks.
Whoa. So is what you're saying right now is that immigrants aren't people? Is that what you just said?
Well, in the eyes of these oligarchs and the eyes of these people that don't believe in the nation state, yes.
Okay. But there's the thing is that, would America even be this strong without immigration, and all these, illegal immigrants that are willing to do the work that you're not willing to do? Are you willing to sit in the sun?
You say they're not willing to do the work. It's because they aren't hiring them.
But do you think Americans are really going to sit in the sun and pick fruits for $4 an hour?
$4 an hour? That's more than a $4 an hour job. That's a lot more than that.
Well, that's what the immigrants usually get paid.
Yeah, the illegal immigrants, because that's just that. They're getting paid unlawful wages. They're being exploited. They can't really leave. They're stuck in this country now because they think that they're going to work their way up and be able to send this money back. But in reality, no. They are wage slaves. They get just enough to get by.
Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna tax their money when it goes back because we're gonna build that wall.
Well, I don't know so much about the wall. Like, I don't know 100% if I agree with it or not. But
I think as a Slavic person, wall, great idea. We have big beautiful wall like Berlin Wall.
Yes, Berlin Wall to keep running away communists. To keep them in.
No. We had to prevent all the West Germans from coming into our beautiful East Germany. That's
why you shot them as they left.
Because they were traitors. They leave country and they probably go jerk off some French people.
What you say country, but what country? You don't believe in countries.
Well, you got me there.
You believe in global workers' rights.
Well, no, is that we believe in the international struggle of the proletariat, but we can still like our beautiful Soviet Union and all our respected communist countries. Now, yeah, like we have beautiful communist East Germany, communist Romania, communist, many different countries in Warsaw Bloc. So just because they're communist doesn't mean we can't have countries. Even though Marx said we couldn't, but whatever.
Because Marxism is a lie. Marxism is a lie, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
Any more questions you want to ask?
Yeah, we can ask some questions for me.
All right. That's a good idea since you've been asking me all the questions. So explain to me more how under a communistic, like, how would you ideal a perfect communistic system that doesn't have to deal with famine or massive population control, in a sense, like sending them off to gulags and whatnot?
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, it's that not every country people got sent to gulags, and also is that and when
You're right, they got shot in bitches.
that's not entirely true. And also, who are the people that were getting shot? Were they actually? There was criminals that were just doing normal criminal stuff like do in America. People go to jail everywhere, and they got sent to prisons. There was drug dealers. There was a lot of just general scum that had to be eliminated. No, not everybody. Stalin just one country. That's not every communist country where that this happened. Another
what about
thing,
China or Cambodia.
Okay, well, Khmer Rouge was actually. Here's another thing: is that he was actually he was. Nothing happened. What happened in Vietnam?
A lot of dead Asians.
Yeah, because the United States bombed the shit out of them. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a dumb argument. That's like saying that's like that's like the equivalent of saying like
they started the dang war. That's all I know.
That's like the equivalent. You know what? That's the equivalent of saying. That's like saying that the Americans killed a bunch of people during the Revolutionary War because the British were killing all the people during the war. No, that's like the equivalent of it. So.
It was a joke, my boy.
It was a bad meme. That's what it was. But here's my point though is that Khmer Rouge was actually supported by Nixon in China. They actually did not like the Soviet Union, and it was a way for Nixon to curtail Soviet influence in the Southeast Asia. Pol Pot was not really a socialist. He actually betrayed most of the Socialist Party and made his own party. A lot of people consider him an ultranationalist, if anything. So, Khmer Rouge, the merit of all his, horrible things he did to be under communism is not necessarily accurate. Another thing is that is that in a lot of the countries, where the starvation stuff happened, maybe if America didn't sanction them and America didn't try to overthrow their government every 6 months, maybe there wouldn't be a problem. But the thing is, I think it goes along with this saying that America socialism could work the best because we're the only country that can't. America.
True. American foreign policy is quite the problem, but I mean, that doesn't really have much to do with fascism, now does it? Because America is not really a fascist country.
Well,
under a fascist nation, they would probably respect the borders of said land. Mostly.
Well, Germany didn't seem to respect the borders of Poland and Czechoslovakia.
Okay, hold on. That land was wrongfully taken from them because of the the
Versailles Treaty.
Yeah, the Versailles
that happened like 20 years prior to that, and it was it was land that they rightfully lost in World War I.
They did not rightfully lose that land. That was their land. They were forced to pay large amounts of debt to a war they didn't even start.
Whoa. I mean, their best friends started the war pretty much. I'm like, hey,
best friend,
and then they jumped right in, so...
Yeah, because they got to help out a brother.
So their best friends start the war, and then they jump right in. So that's not starting it, in a way, because they're ultimately... They'd be like the equivalent... Okay, let's look at another example. It's like, let's say, another example. Israel starts a war in Iran, and then America jumps in to support Israel. Wouldn't they be at least culpable to some extent if they jumped in to support Israel against Iran?
Yes and no, I would say. I mean, I guess I can see where you're going with that, but no, because we're not the ones that started it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying... It's true that Germans didn't exactly start the war, but they're definitely majorly culpable for the start of World War I.
I wouldn't really say that, though. I mean, they're allied... I mean, the politics of World War I started as a little bullshit altogether. Like, some priest guy got shot by a Serb, and then the whole world just went.
Well, it was the Archduke. It was one of the highest people in the government of Austria-Hungary got shot by Gavrilo Princip, who wanted independence for Serbia, and he pretty much just capped that mofo right there. Just like it was like, hey, what's up, man? You want some shit? It's like, hey, you can't drive by me.
So if you think about it, technically, it was the Serbian nationalists that started the whole thing. Because they made the first move on Austria, and Austria was just simply defending itself.
Yeah, but ultimately they were occupying the Serbian land, so that's the reason why the Archduke had to get shot. So...
you get conquered. That's a shitty thing that sucks.
So, oh shit, okay, see, so the Germans got conquered after World War I practically, and then they lost all that land.
Yeah, they reconquered it.
Okay, so...
They only invaded the part that was taken away.
Well, you know.
And then Russia,
Yeah, then
the Soviet Union invaded the other half.
Yeah, and then they had to go in, and then they went and fought the Soviet Union for no reason. That wasn't they didn't get the.
I admit that was retarded, but that was Hitler's genius plan of not listening to his generals.
Yes, exactly.
But Hitler wasn't really fascist. He's a National Socialist, which is a little bit different than fascism.
Yeah.
On certain other aspects.
National Socialism, Communism, Fascism, Obamaism, it's all the same shit to me. And, yeah, you can if you want to bring that stuff to my country, you can get the fuck out.
God bless.
But anyways, it's like this. We'll go on to the next thing. Is that ask me another question. Is that I think I've successfully won that.
I'll give you a point for that. But I mean, they reconquered what that.
They reconquered. Okay.
They reconquered what was stolen.
But is that okay? When it comes to the idea of conquering, not
to mention the Polish government was also massacring and being very prejudiced to the German population. Hitler was like, hey.
Sounds like a load of barnacles.
You can look it up if you want.
You didn't even catch what I was referencing there.
Oh, SpongeBob reference?
Yeah.
Sounds like a load of barnacles to me.
I heard that. Well, okay. I know that the Polish, I think the Polish actually were posturing against the Germans prior
to
the invasion.
Because Hitler was the one who was breaking all the world banks, the Rothschilds, which put them under it was an international bank that was putting them in debt with money that was just baloney money. Phony baloney money.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I mean, it's to no contest that bankers are bad, but the thing is that was the Germans' invasion of Poland really had anything to do with the bankers? I mean, also...
Well, yeah, because, I mean, Germany was the first nation to break its grip to break its chains away from the bankers' grip. Poland wasn't, and they were very upset about that. And what was the nation that Germany took? I think it was Austria or Czechoslovakia.
Well, I took the Sudetenland and Czechoslovakia before anything.
Yeah, so he conquered those by peaceful means. He didn't just charge in there and bomb the place like they want you to believe. He went in there peacefully, won their vote, won their audience or whatever the fuck, because most of the people there were German speaking. Then what was it? He took over Austria next, right?
Well, he went from Czechoslovakia, then he took Poland, and
no, he had Austria. I know that he had, at some point he claimed Austria under peaceful terms.
Okay, I'm just gonna look that one up when that actually happened. I put in German capture and there was Atlanta. German capture of Atlanta, man. Let's see, but it says March 11. Oh yeah, you're right. It says March 1938. So apparently, I think is when Austria and Germany they joined and they made the Greater Germany.
Yeah, and that was over peaceful rule. So they broke the bankers' grip of Austria then, but they couldn't break the bankers' grip of Poland because Poland was under heavy influence of the banker, I guess you could say, at least the Polish government at the time. And they were just and because the German was displeasing the banker, the Polish government at the time was being very prejudiced towards German-speaking people of Poland. And then Hitler was like, hey, if you don't knock that off, I'm going to come over there and give you a walloping. And the Polish government was like, oh yeah, well, go ahead. We got the world on our side. And Hitler's like, I don't give a heckin' hoot. And he went in there and he started bopping them in their Polish heads. And then Britain was like, hey, what we tell you? We said we don't want no war. Hitler was like, hey, I didn't want a war either, but these guys are being... Hitler was like, hey, I didn't want a war either, but you guys are being heckin' tardos, man. These guys are hurting our people.
Oh, sure. I didn't realize Hitler talked in dank meme language in 1930-something. Was he going to leash his scary doggos on Poland?
And then, yeah, Winston Churchill, the big bulldoggo, he was like, hey, well, Hitler, I'm going to come over there and give you a walloping.
Or
what is this?
I got instead of wall.
Leave this lot, losers, unless you want a licking, and we'd love to deliver that licking, right, fellas? Yeah, I'd love to lick a lemon lollipop in Lillehammer.
Yeah, that was Hitler to
talking to the Polish minister of
and
1939.
his gang. You know, there was like Goebbels there. There was like Himmler there. So I don't know. Himmler wouldn't scare. I don't think he's not the person that would like come to intimidate. He was more like the guy that'd probably be like just chilling in the back, like reading a book or something on the cult or some shit because he's weird.
Am I wrong at what I said though? Was I wrong about that?
It's true. I mean, it's true. It's kind of similar to like nowadays. It's the whole like thing that Russia didn't come into the Crimea. It came to the Crimea unprovoked is because people of Russians were being harassed there, and that was truly Russian land until 1991. So it's kind of like a similar concept. Is that I mean, if you mess it, I mean, think about it. Think about this, for example. It's nothing really happened to America, but I would imagine if like Canada annexed Maine, and then 20 years later, Canada started treating everyone in Maine like assholes because they were American. America would be like, "Hey, Canada, knock the fuck off, or we're gonna invade. We're gonna say you have oil, and we're gonna go in there."
Which they do, don't they?
Yeah, they do got oil. It's surprising.
Canada, we're coming.
Yeah, it's like, watch out, Canada.
Prepare your hole.
You're all about to get sent to the hospital for free.
Yeah, we're gonna give you a big fat American dicks.
Yeah. We're gonna all pull them out. You know, like when we pulled them out for Harambe.
Hey, what a shout out to my nigga Harambe. All right, what's some other questions we can ask? Because I ran out of questions. Because I don't know what to say.
Oh, 2 questions. Okay, so yeah, it looks like it's looking pretty good for the lefty over here.
I don't know what to say to communism. Like, why is it such a trash ideology?
Why is it a trash ideology? What parts of it is trash?
Well, it crashed in 1991.
Yeah, well, we're talking about American sanctions, American sabotage. Maybe if people actually let it happen.
Why do you think that the American sanctions were able to overrule the great communistic nation?
Well, I mean, when you kind of poke at someone and, you know, keep beating them up with economic sanctions and everything and tell the world that they can't really trade with you, I mean, no matter what kind of system you have, no matter how mighty your system is, it's gonna probably fall apart.
Germany went under a lot of heavy sanctions, and then within 10 years, they came out as one of the greatest nations on earth.
Yeah, but they got sanctioned and everything. That was prior to like the entire. That was prior to the.
Exactly, it was prior to it, and they still came out on top. And then everyone went to war and butt raped them.
Yeah, it was brutal. You know, it was like it was brutal. It was like one of those Ghetto Gaggers movies.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, that's not my idea. That's a shout out to and he couldn't be on the show tonight, but Michael. That'd be like something he would say probably. But yeah. Okay, so the Germans inherited a country that was heavily riddled with sanctions and had major economic problems, and they still fixed it. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, exactly. Why couldn't the Communist Party do that?
Why? Well, you see, healthcare.
Healthcare. I win this debate. Huzzah.
Oh shit! We the huzzah. We were referencing Tobias Funke now. Well, I don't think Tobias Funke would be Sieg Heilin, but. Well, yeah. This is. I don't know at this point. I think he has a. Oh yeah. Okay.
Think of a question to ask you.
All right, and yeah, as you see tonight, we're having quite a few interesting debates and different topics that came up. But I got an idea about the sanctions. Is that why weren't the Soviets able to recover from that? Is that I mean, ultimately, industrialists from America and other very rich people were still supporting the fascists in Europe. Well, the Soviets didn't have that luxury. It's like when you don't have wealthy backers and you're getting sanctioned and no one can trade with you, how are you supposed to survive as a country? How are you supposed to function as a country? You don't. So, in my opinion, communism was riddled by one of the main things that the very rich people of the world don't really like to support ideology that's about reining in against the influence of the bourgeoisie. So another thing about that is that the sanctions against Nazi Germany, I think that ultimately the military industrial powerhouse that Nazi Germany is part of the reason why they were able to recover, and it was very small and it was very short-lived recovery. is that ultimately the Soviets thrived until the 1950s into the 1960s with a heavily industrialized state under the might of Joseph Stalin. And Joseph Stalin was able to bring a country that was in a really bad shape in 1920. By 1960, the country was in tip-top shape. So I think that's that kind of answers his question there. Is that I think the sanctions, it has a lot to do with the sanctions have a lot to do with it was a lot of influence, but also who backs the Soviet Union is that the Germany had the wealthy backers to keep them afloat. Is that you had people like the Bush family, you had people like Henry Ford and top industrialists that supported Nazi Germany all the way to the 30s and 40s. I finally got a good rebuttal.
You got a good rebuttal
about the sanctions, and I just said it. But here's one thing: is that there was wealthy backers to support Nazi Germany to keep them afloat. The Soviet Union didn't have that luxury because rich people don't like to support an ideology that's about reigning the power of the bourgeoisie. Another thing is that your economy doesn't really count. You guys were just building bombs and shit, and we're like, hey, we got jobs, because we're building missiles to blow up the entire world practically.
They did not just build bombs like that. The whole wartime economy thing's a little silly.
And tanks and trucks and
roads and buildings.
My roads.
The Autobahn, one of the most highly sophisticated highway systems.
Oh, cool! You built a fast road.
Yeah, because their highway system is what we use today.
Okay. So yeah, we might have copied Autobahn. Eisenhower was like, oh, cool, they got a fast road. We should build that fast road here. But ultimately, you guys still had the wealthy backers, and you had a lot of people in the West that still liked fascism compared to the Soviet Union. Nobody really liked fascism in the West, so that's why the sanctions were so successful. It's like, well, if you have no rich backers to support you, and people and there's no one really wanting to trade with you because of the sanctions, what are you supposed to do? I mean, are just going to go?
Yeah, because it doesn't. There's no winning outcome if you support communism. You just get
but they didn't.
You get all your money taken away in the name of equality.
Well,
is
that necessarily what happens? I mean, there was still is that the bourgeoisie gets their money taken away, but does the average worker like me and you get their money taken away? No.
Right, we starve. We get our food taken away in a communist country.
Okay, let's look into that a little statistic, because you keep bringing that up.
That's the reason why the Ukrainian Holocaust happened, because they took the food and they sold it on the international market to help out with their shitty economy.
Okay, I mean, there's some of the kulaks. It says 3 million kulaks were killed supposedly.
What the fuck's a kulak? Sounds like a goddamn Dr. Seuss name.
And it's the Soviet version of cuck. No, it's kind of like that. Kulak had like a bad reputation. It means people that wouldn't give their food to the collectivization of the Soviet Union, so they kind of got starved. A lot of the farmers, apparently.
So they were people that didn't give away all their food or something?
That they wouldn't join into the forced collectivization, right, yeah. So that was the kulaks. So
here's a question for you, I guess. Speaking of collectivism, what do you think about collectivism? I wouldn't know. I guess I wouldn't really consider this like a fascist or communist thing, because both of our ideologies are kind of a collectivist.
Exactly.
Collectivistic sense.
Gospel for life.
What? No. So what do you think of collectivism? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? Do you think it expands human consciousness or not? Because I think that's what it does.
As a and this is I'm going away from from my commie character for a little bit. This is just like a Chris J. what I actually legitimately think about collectivism. I think it's a good thing. I mean, I think
hold on, let me stop you there. I just thought of your commie name. Christoph Jixon.
Christoph what?
Christoph Jixon.
Christoph Jixon. It sounds like it sounds like
Christoph.
It's like one word. It's one word away from being jack off jism. I mean,
that's a good one. Jack off, Chris. Anyway, go on to what you're saying.
Yeah, so collectivism, I think, I think we're much as a human race, we're supposed to we're supposed to work together as much as possible, like with our people of our little tribe, of our group, our nation, and we've done a lot more when we've actually teamed together rather than in heavily individual societies like America of today, where we went backwards in many regards. And I think that individualism, to the extent of America, we divided we fall, united we come together. I mean, I don't believe it's not like I believe the idea that everybody some people think collectivism means that everybody has to be of the same political ideology. I just think that everybody has to have the same goal of bettering the nation and bettering our life and our standard of living. So that's, again, I think that's the principle of collectivism, or more nationalism, and compared to the ideas of, like, the anarchists of the world of nowadays and stuff like that believe ultimately in the same way. They have a different name for the government, though. They just, like, for example, the anarcho-communists, they have whatever, the workers' council, the anarcho-capitalist, I don't know, some kind of commission or board or something where all the decisions to be made like a corporation.
See, that's the thing with the anarcho groups. This is, I guess, getting a little off topic. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we get scattered brain on this show. But, like, anarchy, oh god, I cannot stand those anarcho-capitalist, communistic, whatever.
Doesn't matter what anarcho you are, really.
Any anarcho group, like, they think of themselves as these, like, highly sophisticated, like, yes, this is the system that will clearly save the world. And then, like, because, I don't know, they don't like the idea of, like, being taxed so our government can make roads or something. Because
roads.
Because, like, I don't know, like, yeah, it's true. Independent contractors could make your roads and stuff, but then you have to stop at a toll booth and, like, pay $50 just to use it.
No.
Like, that's what we call.
Wait! I know what I'm gonna.
Isn't that called monopoly? Isn't that one thing we kind of want to stop? Right? Am I correct on that?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like what you're right, is that ultimately, imagine with an anarcho-capitalist system, just like...
Oh, God, there's so many anarcho memes.
Well, these are lovely, but let me just finish what I was going to say, and I'll get to the next thing. Anarcho-capitalist system is not going to... It's not like, ultimately, it's like the idea, whether state oppression or private oppression is going to be, which one do you prefer? But here's the thing, private oppression, I mean, that's already kind of like the system we live in. We already live in, like, an oligarchy where corporations own the government and rich people own the government. So, but let me just put these are hilarious, some of these memes here. Okay, this is the first meme, actually.
Oh, you read memes?
Oh, wait, I wanted you to be here while you laugh at me with the memes.
Alright, fine. I just have to pee really bad. When a 10-year-old rides his skateboard on your privatized sidewalk, violating the NAP, so you enslave him and launch an ICBM and his family's mud hut, but the tribe says that's too advanced, so they assault your mud hut complex with rocks. But by entering your property, they violated the NAP, so you nuked them and raided their garages, all without violating the NAP. I love those ones.
And then one of these is really funny. Oh yeah, let's see. It's this one. Oh wait, I want to pick this one. This one looks to be like the longest one. When the share position in your gravel-connected monetary collective community bidding goes under 300 bitcoins, and you swoop in at 3 a.m. after you took the local warlord's daughter hostage, using her as a means to get the bidding to take 3 hours after it went on the market. But after the warlord puts out a private bounty on you, and you are forced to send the local private police force you just hired to snipe him and his family on their way to give you their terms of territorial dominion and their MAWPC APC is a public funded IED. A local paperboy bought with his dog fighting Ponzi money. Oh my god.
The flaws of a anarcho government.
Where's the one with the McNuke? That's like my favorite one.
I love that one. I gotta use the restroom.
Alright, yeah, let's keep I'm gonna keep looking at some of these memes. These things are hilarious. Let's see. Let's see. We're trying to find some more memes. I mean, I don't hate anarcho-capitalists by any means. I just do think they have some good points, but these memes are just hilarious. Oh, this is a long one right here. When you're being... let me see if I can find it. Okay. There's so many of these anarcho-capitalist memes. When you nuke an entire village because the village idiot ran your doorbell and violated your NAP, but you realize that you accidentally nuked the wrong village, so you fire up your child slaves to make, and it says TM, to make more nukes, and you go on a nuking spree because there's no government to stop you. What the Oh my god, these are just too much. Let's see. So, I mean, in my opinion, though, I just don't think that, like, anarcho-capitalism and anarcho-communism in theory just seem to be, like, utopian ideologies. And that's my main, like, thing against it. I think that the idea of the nation supersedes any of that, the anarcho ideas of, like, living without borders under a total private or totally, property-less society. Both anarcho-communist and anarcho-capitalist I don't agree with. This is coming from a guy that used to support anarcho that used to support anarcho communism and the ideas of it, and now I've dramatically changed my view since then. I used to believe the ideas that of those states, the eventual withering away of the withering away of the governments, and eventually, I thought that we might be able to get to a very, very small government or no government. But, the thing is that ultimately the government just gets replaced by whatever else that we call it. There's like a Family Guy episode that kind of represents that, and it starts getting really ridiculous in the end. They pretty much just end up making a government in the end. That's what I think it just happens. There'd just be a new government. There'd just be a new government that would come out with a different name. And let's see. I'll look at some of these other ideologies. When you go call up your friends to hire to play Pokemon Go with a Go semi-pro for the crippled child of a local warlord, but your carrier satellite was shot out of orbit for orbiting too close to McDonald's space elevator, so you decide to go and get kidnapped by unemployed soldiers who were replaced by Indonesian soldiers that cost 0.3333 bitcoins less in upkeep, and you cut open the use as a home and shoot you for violating NAP by being inside yourself. That's a pretty funny one right there. And says, this is a short one. When your brother's wife is giving birth at your private hospital service and they can't pay for membership, so you sell the baby to a local warlord for organ harvesting. What the Man, that one was pretty dark, actually. But, I mean, I don't know if it would ever get to this amount of ridiculousness, but that's kind of like anarcho-capitalist. It seems to be, there seems to be many flaws that can't really be explained. I'm just still reading memes, Beep. Is he back, by the way?
Sorry, I took a shit.
I just read a couple memes, and let's talk about my main reasons why I don't like anarcho-capitalism. I mean, there's some things I can agree with on them, but it's just that I think it's just like utopian. Their idea of what would happen is not what would happen.
Exactly. It's kind of like communism.
Yeah, it's kind of. Well, oh wait, I'm still on the show. I'm supposed to still technically be defending it at this point. Well, I would say. Yeah, like communists, they believe that any ideology where the beliefs are going to be like the state's going to be wither away and the governments are going to wither away with it and we're going to all move in together and live as a happy family. Fuck that. That's not what's going to happen. We all got to worry about our own state. We got to worry about our own country and try to better our own country and break away from international bankers. That's the way that we can do it, aka nationalism.
Think about it like this, ladies and gentlemen. Who would you rather help? Would you rather help? Man, I'm probably going to make you guys sound like assholes, but would you rather help your friend who's starving or your family that's starving? Who do you help? You can't help both, because you only have so much money, and you can only do so much. But who can you help?
Some people, not everybody might answer the same way on that, but, because they got bad families and stuff like that. But I think most people would say the family.
Well, you get my point.
Yeah.
Like, you would rather help, like, those who have families, I guess would say, yes, I'd help my family more than my friend, because, well, I mean, nothing really wrong with that.
Yeah.
Or another way of putting it, who are you going to look out for more, yourself or the people around you? You're gonna look
That's
out
it.
what's best for
Hey,
yourself.
you better feed me, Beepus, or go homeless. I'm gonna be knocking on your door. It's like, fuck you, Beepus. I fed you when you were hungry.
Well, I would definitely help you because you've helped me so many times. So of course.
It's like,
I mean, that's another thing I should say. Like, if you're gonna help out your friend, he better pay you back or something, or he must have done something wonderful. He or she. I'm sorry for those gender conformist people, but
people of
Zers.
the third genders,
the Zorgons.
Zorgons. That sounds like something from Star Trek. I mean, it's like, yeah, man.
The kumquats.
Well, now we're talking about fruits that we went into and that we went and
That's
stole
a gender.
from kumquat.
Yeah, kumquat order.
So sour and easily stolen by people. I don't know. It seems
those are my pronouns. How dare you?
Those are your pronouns.
Stolen and sour.
Okay. So there's I still only got to like 4 memes. I mean, these are pretty funny.
Did you come up with any questions? Any things to get? Any other topics?
Oh yeah. Well, let me just get one more meme in. So that way we get the laugh at one more. When I'm getting raped in an alleyway and attempt to call the police, but they tell me my bronze member police subscription TM only covers muggings and petty theft, and I can't do anything until I upgraded for the low price of 3 bitcoins. What? Hey, what was that?
I just breathe into the mic.
Oh, I thought you were about to be like, "Oy vey." That's what. But yeah, I got a couple questions then about fascism. Then is fascism because a lot of people, and especially the Pinochet type fascist on the internet,
He wasn't.
they love capitalism.
He's more of just like I guess I don't know, a capitalistic nationalist. I don't know.
I don't even think he would qualify as a nationalist. I mean, he kind of was like best friends with literally like Kissinger.
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't really claim him of that side. But what's your point? Continue.
But is a lot of people, and there's like this. I guess they kind of like their own thing nowadays. A lot of fascists that really like capitalism. What do you think about that? Do you think capitalism belongs with fascism and National Socialism, or?
Yeah, because capitalism is a tool, just as government is a tool. So, I would say it needs to be checked. It needs to be upkept with, because if it's not, then you end up with the mess we are in now, an oligarchy, a system where your politicians are bought out by the Walmart CEOs and whatnot, and it just leads to nothing getting done, basically, because the politicians are just taking all the money from these big greedy capitalists. And I guess oh man, I lost my train of thought right now. I forgot what I was gonna say.
By the way, everybody, Mia Khalifa 2020. If we're gonna get screwed, let's get screwed by a professional. Instead of by, I mean, think about it. Instead of getting screwed by a bunch of old men that run the corporations, we can get screwed by we can get screwed by a porn star. But I talk about that. Another thing is that, do you think people you talk about a lot of times is the nationalists will talk about degeneracy. Was there really degeneracy in the Soviet Union that you didn't see on the Soviet Union constant?
Look at what is happening in our current society.
Yeah, but is our current society have anything to do with the Soviet Union or communism?
Yes, because they loudly like take a look at Antifa, for example. I don't know how you would classify them in popularity, but they're not that popular. But the things they like, there was the one photo where they're like no pedo bashing and stuff like that. There's Antifa,
but they're not like actually as communism as a whole.
They are a communistic group.
Well, when it comes to social culture in the Soviet Union, they had all kinds of censorship, and that would have never been allowed. That guy would have been probably sent to the gulag in the Soviet Union, like a lot of these Antifa people. I mean, you know that in the Soviet Union, they actually censored their TVs heavily, and they didn't allow degeneracy and all kinds of they wouldn't allow
look up the Weimar Republic. How about
and was the Weimar Republic? Yeah, it's not the theme of the night. I'm kidding, but the Weimar Republic was not communist though. They were just like
I know they weren't communist, but when the National Socialist groups and the communist groups were like forging at the time, the communist groups were fighting to defend that trashy society.
Were
that
they?
Yes.
What's your proof on that? I don't think I've heard of it. I think I've heard of it actually, but did the communists actually say, yeah, we need to keep all the brothels open in Berlin? And were they actually like saying, hey, drugs are good, do your drugs? And
Well, I don't know much about that, but I know they were defending the people that were keeping it in that shitty condition, the people that were in power, just as they are doing now.
But were they actually? Weren't the commies struggling very hard to actually take over? Just like it wasn't
They were struggling to take over just as hard, but the way they were doing it is like, well, I guess like in modern terms, it could be a little bit different on the level of degeneracy, but because they definitely weren't for gay rights at the time. Because the 30s, nobody was for gay rights at the time.
But that's not degeneracy. I'm not even talking about that. Honestly, that's like, going on about that is that how did they actually defend the Weimar Republic's degeneracy? How did the communists defend the Weimar Republic's degeneracy?
Well, wherever the fascist or nationalist groups would go to gather, they would show up and they would just haggle and fight them and beat them and all that stuff. When they were also the ones trying to change it as well. So it was kind of like a gang war between the two political parties.
Well, maybe because they could have disagreed with the Weimar Republic and didn't want people to be Sieg Heiling in a couple of years. Maybe they wanted to do all that stuff about eliminating degeneracy and stuff like that, but also not allow the Nazis to take over.
And it would have been any better if the communists took over like they did after World War II?
When someone talked about social degeneracy, that's not really something you saw in the Soviet Union. It's not really something that you saw in the Eastern Bloc. It's that in the Soviet Union, actually, the traditional family was pretty valued. In fact, there's a weird stipulation in the Soviet Union is that, and like I said, I'm all for gay rights, so I don't agree with it, but in the Soviet Union, it was legal to be gay, but it was not illegal to be lesbian. I guess that's hot, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Women get such a pass on weird stuff like that. They always will. Sometimes I envy women.
Am I the only one that doesn't really find that like that hot? To be honest, like.
What, lesbians?
Yeah, like I'm not like. I don't,
neither do I. Most lesbians are kind of gross.
Well, I just like it's not even. I don't know. There's just something about the whole thing. It's just like I be friends with them and everything like that. But it's like all these guys, they like seem to get so turned on by that. And I'm just like. I don't know, maybe because it's like deep in my mind, I'm like thinking, well, they're never gonna have sex with me, so.
I guess I don't know.
You figured it out, Beep. Apparently, I'm not a regular American. I'm a commie. That's why.
Yeah, we got lost track. What the fuck were we just talking about?
Well, we're saying that.
Communism
apparently promotes degeneracy, but I was just saying how it didn't. Really. Well, strong censorship. They carefully watched whatever music was produced in the Soviet Union, and you didn't have Jay-Z, and you didn't have fucking Lil Pump going Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang. Some other lyrics. I actually listened to that song the other day, and I have to say it was very bad.
Yeah, I know. It's better than Beethoven, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's classics right there. That is music that will be remembered in 2500 AD. That is the pinnacle of human enlightenment right there.
It is. Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang. Twerk that booty hole all on my face.
I think there's some other lyrics.
Duty hole, duty hole, duty hole, duty hole.
What the fuck's a duty hole?
It's your fucking butthole. Duty hole.
Oh, I was like, wait, I put that together. I was like, oh, duty, okay. I was like, what the fuck? But give me some examples of where communists promoted degeneracy besides the supposed promotion in the Weimar Republic.
Well, hold on. Where the fuck is my phone? Phone, come.
Yeah, get your. I need my cell phone. I need it. Get your.
Look at the back.
Man, you're getting your iPhone that was made by.
It's not iPhone.
You're getting your smartphone that was created by capitalism, man. Capitalism is like the superior system because it's like. You wouldn't have. That you wouldn't even be able to go to work if it wasn't for capitalism.
Fucking Android and Google, stop.
You wouldn't even be able to go to work without capitalism, man. You would not even be able to watch TV. You know what they watch in communist countries eat? They watch people eating potatoes on the television. It's very tragic. Another thing is if you don't support capitalism, you want Venezuela to happen. You want Venezuela to happen times 3. Fucking communist. You get thrown out of a helicopter. I was being that was me being like your typical like anarcho-capitalist like hipster on the interwebs.
I'm on a website that says Marxist.org, so I don't know how if this is gonna be biased or not. Demonstrations against porno shops, movie houses showing sadistic films, book burnings in Kowal County, prostitute idea about sex education are signs of spontaneous response to the working class against the bourgeoisie attempts to dope with degenerate culture and fascist ideology.
Oh shit!
Okay, I mean this is also from Marxist.org, so.
But they're literally saying like everything I'm just saying though about Marxists. You know, they're saying that they protested like porno showings and all these like I guess you would say with social degeneracy.
Bourgeoisie fascist rule is inherently more unstable than bourgeoisie democracy. However, fascism, such as the Nazi Germany type, fascist rule assists by a corresponding mass base among the broad organized crime, the backward, man, is what communists against. No, Reddit. I don't want to listen to you.
Okay, no, not Reddit.
Okay, xenovism and the degeneration of world communism. Alright, let's see what that is. And this is from the International Socialist Review. So...
pretty biased, but...
yeah, we'll see.
We'll roll with it.
Gregory Zinoviev, an early 20th century leader in the Russian Marxist movement, is today an obscure historical figure who, when mentioned, is usually dismissed as unserious, unstable, opportunistic, I cannot say the goddamn words today, and even ridiculed as farcical.
Wait, what?
What?
Wait, what was that? Yeah, I don't know that word.
I don't know that word either. On the left, the term xenovism. Alright, that's a fucking tongue twister. Vague and undefined, occasionally surfaces in socialist disputes as an accusation against bureaucratic. Oh my god, these words. What a massive come down in the 1920s. Zeno, president of the Communist International, was, after Lenin and Trotsky, the most well-known popular revolutionary figure in the world. And most revolutionaries declare themselves his followers and disciples. Zeno, we're just going to nickname him Zeno, ladies and gentlemen. Zeno, he's going to be an anime character. Zeno was also the leader and spokesman of Leningrad district of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, as well as the Soviet and the city of the world's most combative class-conscious workings movement. Within a few years, he was powerless, expelled by Stalin, Bukharin, isolated with virtually no supporters. Yet his most ambiguous and harmful legacy survived at this defeat as policies that had been incorporated into the communist orthodoxy of the 1920s. The purpose of this essay is to understand the content of Zeno's unexplored legacy. I will argue that Zenoism, that's what we're going to call it, not Xenovism, we're going to call it Zenoism, was a political current district with both Leninism and Stalinism. Despite attempts to couple these three greatly dissimilar political currents. God damn, there's so much to read. The mid-20s were years of...
you have a lot to read when you don't have a job, when you're like communist.
That's true. Then wait until you read the wrong books and get sent off to Siberia. The mid-20s were years of transition in Russia, the juncture between the death of Lenin, the triumph of Stalinism, the degeneration of the Russian Revolution, and following it, the international communist movement, was a long, drawn-out process. The initial years of deterioration were marked by a series of difficult choices on the part of the revolution's leaders of groping for solutions. Get out. Some necessary, none-good, while being overwhelmed by unfavorable circumstances, processes, I can't say the word. What does that word say?
You want me to just take over?
Yeah, you just take over, because I suck at reading, apparently.
Yeah,
I went past high school.
Yeah,
I dropped out at the age of 8.
Yeah, he totally dropped out at the age of 8. Yeah.
By the way, I think I left my wallet in your car, so before you leave, remind me.
Okay. It says the process accumulated with the consolidation of Stalin's power in the late 1920s and early 1930s in a vicious counter-revolutionary assault that destroyed every vestige of the workers' power and took millions of lives. The process of degeneration distorted and impaired the views of even the best fighters defending workers' power, bewildering participants as well as later generations. Academic historians, social democrats, and anarchists have added to the conceptual confusion surrounding to this complex historical process by their puerile equation of Leninism with Stalinism, or their slightly more sophisticated claim that Leninism inevitably led to Stalinism. This amalgamation of the revolution with the counter-revolution mystifies and distorts the real history of the struggle, the clashes of classes, contentious social forces, and historical agents that make up history. I'm just going to say here that this is worse than a regular Marxist-Leninist paper. We're on a Trotskyist paper.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, because when they start talking about like the that like Stalinism is like illegitimate communism, and they're communist, that probably means they're Trotskyist.
Okay. Which
is worse. I know, weirdly enough. You know how bad Stalin is? Trotskyists are like, I was a Trotskyist at one point. People remember that listened to the show a couple years ago. Trotskyists are pretty much like, they're closer to Antifa than maybe any other like ideology besides like, because Trotsky was like a libertarian communist practically. Like he was almost like an anarcho-communist. He really believed in the whole like Marxist ideology to the book. And so that's why I was made the note about Trotskyism. And I if you ever noticed about reading about from Marxist-Leninist papers, which I've done at times, is that there are dry reads. Like I don't know who they're trying to gain, and they shoot themselves in the foot. Is that ultimately like people like nationalists and stuff like that? They bring it down to common language, like normal people speak, and normal people can relate to. They do memes, they do stuff like that, and that's why they win. The left, they try to be all snobby and use like words that nobody really uses, is like just to be like, hey, look, we're smart. Look, we know we're intelligent. In reality, I'm not saying about all leftists, of course, but I'm saying that like fraction of left, because I would consider myself the left, but Trotskyists, the Bolsheviks and stuff like that. They're like, hey, look, we're using smart words. We're in the Starbucks and. I'm so much smarter than your average, right winger or whatever, But I used to be kind of that way. I used to be a Trotskyist, like pretty diehard Trotskyist. I mean, if you want to go to something cringy, just look at my show back like 3 years ago. There was a show that I literally did on like Trotsky's like anniversary of him getting like hit in the noggin with a pickaxe, and then like
I'm sorry to like pull you off from your rant, but back to the communism degeneracy.
We didn't get anything. We didn't get anything from those articles, really. But
yeah, those were a waste of time. My bad, ladies and gentlemen. I guess a good way to put it is like, I don't know. I can't really say much for the past, because the past is the past, and it was a lot different than it is today. But modern communistic groups, they're not really for family values. I don't know if you would call them communists or Marxists, because we've already agreed that I guess Marxism and communism are different, even though I'd say it's not, but whatever. And so with modern day movements like feminism and all these other little SJW groups, they promote things that destroy our culture, like family values. We've already discussed how the family unit is being destroyed constantly. Like these feminist groups, these multiracial or multiculturalist groups are promoting values that don't really what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't really talk for us. Let's just say that. Like, they tell women that it's okay to be whores and stuff, and it's alright because that's freedom, because having a relationship and committing to a family is slavery. But is it slavery, and is being a slut really that great of a thing? Like, are you really women? Are you really winning for women's rights when they're basically just being fuck dolls for every man that grabs their hands on them? Is that really a good thing? Like, I'm just saying, I don't really see that as a win.
You've officially You have officially went like full. You went like that seems like something Trump would probably say like in private or something. It's just like.
Well, I'm just saying it doesn't really make much sense because like.
Look, Melania. Do you really think that women being like you, being fuck dolls, would be a good thing? That's why you should stay with me, even though that I'm fucking porn stars like Stormy Daniels on a regular basis. Because I'm a winner and you're a loser.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I don't really see it like being a good thing for women, because like.
No, I mean the idea, like, I think it's dumb to make it seem like that them living a traditional lifestyle is like slavery. I think they should be able to make their own choices. But... And
another thing is, most communist groups like to push the idea of multiculturalism or multiracialism, and I mean, I'm not.
I don't want to get hit by a Swedish grenade.
No, I'm not like saying that all blacks need to like get executed or anything like that.
Well,
like,
I would hope not. Shit.
When I discuss the idea of multiracialism or multiculturalism, however you would define it, but what I'm trying to say is like you can't really live in a peaceful society with so many cultures that are so widely different. Like European culture and Asian culture are two different things. They're now. Is there going to be like huge like cultural conflicts? Probably, because they're so different. The languages are so different. The culture will always be so different. So to sit here and think that we're going to live in a big kumbaya it's nonsense, because even as today, like like a lot of Hispanics, they're only going to look out for themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I think I know what we should play.
But what are you going to play?
You'll see.
All right, but you know it doesn't really help us all together, because naturally we want to look out for our own, because I think naturally we all believe in our own race, but you know, once you get in that territory, then you're really rocking the boat. So I'm just saying.
You know which one I'm playing here.
But. Yeah.
We pointed out the lines of policy then being pursued were bound to end in disaster. They talked of what they called multiracialism, which was simply a universal mix-up. Take humanity, put it in a bag, shake it together, and heaven knows what would come out. They wanted to get rid of what existed. All the little gray people of the world who hate the beautiful diversity of human development, they always want to get rid of the natural, the noble, and the beautiful. They wanted to get rid of it. They wanted to make all nature as gray as themselves. It was their deep instinct. We were always opposed to that. We said, no, it won't work, and it's undesirable, but it should work. We can live in peace and friendship side by side in separate nations and separate developments. But we cannot have the mix-up of peoples and races who are widely different and divergent. It will lead to nothing but trouble. It will lead to nothing but trouble. This policy of mixture, what does it really mean? It doesn't mean freedom. It doesn't mean brotherhood, or any of the cant and humbug which is taught. That is just the mask for some of the vilest forces on earth to exploit the peoples in the future as they have done in the past. Every one of us in this hall was old enough to see before the war. Every one of you know what happened. How the financial forces in the 30s went into these backward countries, into India, within the empire, into Hong Kong, into Japan, into China, and exploited these peoples to produce cheap, sweaty goods, which ruined the great industries of Britain and of Europe, which put Lancashire out of business in the cotton trade, Yorkshire out of business in the woolen trade. And these poor devils of coolies were exploited for a wage of a few shillings a week. For what purpose? To enable the city of London and Wall Street, New York, to make fatter profits by sweating the air.
Wait.
Nothing.
That is why it was done. That was the whole purpose. And with what result? China thrown into the arms of communism. The largest population in the world simply passed as a present to communism. Because if you treat people like that, it's the only possible result. If there's no one to save them, no one to help them, and they've simply been ground into poverty and sweating and exploitation, what can you expect except they go communist as they did? And all these countries which have been exploited, thrown and tossed aside by finance, are now becoming the victims of communism. So finance seeks fresh fields of exploitation. Where do they turn? When the old people are exhausted, when many a poor laborer has died of consumption and of other horrible diseases in their sweatshops, or when they're exhausted fields of exploitation, where do they turn now? New pastures, new forests, fresh virgin land. And then you erect a Union Jack or another flag of Europe, and under that flag, where you allow these things to happen as we have done in the past, and those poor devils that have been sweated and exploited in Africa, like the other poor devils in China, India, and Japan, a great new field for sweatshops to be opened up, so that these new industries which we're creating in Britain today will be destroyed as the old industries were. Simplified, rationalized machinery with a few white surveyors, and then the masses of cheap-colored labor torn off the land and taken into the sweatshops to work and labor and cough their guts out with tuberculosis until they do are thrown on a scrap heap of those sweatshops. Is that worthy of Britain? Is that to be the future of Europe? And is this competition to be organized within our European Brotherhood, bringing in these sweat fields in Africa into our Europe civilization so that the financial power in one European country can use it against the financial power in another? All the great financial central power of the world, now shifted from the city of London to Wall Street, New York, shall be able, on the mass of money, of wealth, and of power which it brings to it, again, influence in politics, until, as you see today, it is childish nonsense to say that a British government rules Britain. It's nothing to do with British government or the British people. The government of the world is the financial government, the power of money and of money alone.
And there you go. That was maybe one of the greatest speeches you ever hear.
Or part of one. If you want to know who that person was, ladies and gentlemen, that was a man known as Sir Oswald Mosley. A personal hero of mine, someone who helped me escape the brainwashing of our current society. Give him a look.
Yes, and by the way, Sir Oswald Mosley almost became the Prime Minister of Britain in 1929. And imagine how much different their history would have been if he would have became the Prime Minister.
World War II may have never have happened the way it did.
Well, I mean, the UK and Germany probably wouldn't have went to war immediately because there'd been no reason, because he didn't want a war with Germany. He just all about through the whole posturing on Germany. I think that, if anything, the UK would have stayed out of it longer. I don't know if they would have prevented it altogether, because I feel like Germany and France would have still went to war, or Germany and the United States would have went to war directly. But I could see it would the whole war, World War II. The way they went down, it's lied to us. As they try to say that the Axis acted against the Allies unprovoked, which it may be true on the eastern. I see maybe on the Eastern Front that the Eastern Front's definitely true, because Operation Barbarossa against the Soviets, there was no reason for that. But the truth was that, like, Japanese attacking the United States, well, we sanctioned the shit out of them. It's like, well, when you back a country into the corner with sanctions, what are they going to do eventually? They're going to strike back. They're not just going to sit down, lay down, and be the little docile pets for America. So that's when it came to Japan, that's the reason why. And when it came to Germany and the rest of Europe, like you said, they were treating the Polish were treating the German people like utter shit. It's like that's the ultimate result. It's not like they're going to be, like I said, imagine if 20 years ago the Maine was annexed by Canada, and today the people of Maine are getting treated like shit by the Canadian government. Is that Americans would be like, hey, knock it off, or we're going to kick your ass. Exactly. So that's like the equivalent of like the Sudean land, and the Polish land that was taken away. Because the German, you're right, is that in reality the German land, most of that stuff was all stuff that they had for hundreds of years prior. Under the German Empire, and then before that the Holy Roman Empire, they had that for literally hundreds of years prior, all that land. And it was like, and after the Treaty of Versailles, they fucked them in the ass. I mean, they said, hey,
it was an unfair. It was completely one-sided. There's no way that Germany could have even like bothered to truly like repay that debt. It was so much that like,
it was just pretty much, it was the Allies pretty much saying, hey, here's this debt you'll never be able to pay off. Until you can pay that off, you're a bitch. It's pretty much
exactly, and that's exactly what happened.
And Germany was like, and there was people in Germany like, wait, why do we have to do that? Did we start World War I? No. It's like Serbia started World War I, really. It's like, did we? Also, another question is like, did we actually do the most damage in World War I? No, probably. If you asked who actually,
just because they were the most powerful.
I think the person that did the most damage in World War I was actually the British government under Churchill, as was one of the highest people in the Navy, and he actually drew America into the war via the Lusitania false flag. So the British were actually the ones that did a lot of most of the provocations against Germany. And the corrupt British government at the time, Prime Minister George Lloyd, which the Kaiser. I mean, he did his. Do you know what's the worst thing the Kaiser did in the entire war? Was actually help the Bolsheviks against the Russians that were fighting the Germans in the war.
Yeah, that's kind of the ironic thing. They helped create communism, and communism destroyed Germany.
I know, it's like
it's kind of funny.
Well, the Kaiser immediately was like 5 years later, he put a statement like, I fucking did that. I can't believe I fucking messed up Germany that bad. He actually, let me see if I can find that. The Kaiser's quote, because it was
now. You only got 4 minutes left.
That's why I was doing it right now, because it's actually a pretty deep quote. Let's see if I can find it. Because otherwise it'd be doing very loose paraphrasing. And there it is. This is what he said. It says, Jews are responsible for Bolshevikism in Russia and Germany too. I was far too indulgent with them during my reign, and I barely regret the favors I showed to prominent Jewish bankers. So I think that was the thing the Kaiser did wrong, was like he was too indulgent with the people that fucking overthrew him and destroyed his country practically in the end. Because in the end, that he was overthrown eventually by pretty much like the Bolsheviks at the time in Germany. Remember, there was like the Spartacus League and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that in the Spartacus League, they killed like hundreds of thousands of Germans, and they were ultimately stopped by like the German paramilitaries, like the Freikorps and stuff like that.
Well, again, that was happening during the Weimar. I think it was happening.
But the first people that opposed the communists was the monarchy itself. So it's like they created their own enemy practically, and they destroyed them. But and when you really think about it, it's like kind of sucks, because really ever since that point, has Germany ever really been the same? No, it's like Germany's been. It's like after that they had the Weimar Republic, and then World War II happened. Then they were split apart, West and East. Now they have fucking Merkel. I mean,
and like I feel like Germany might go down the same path as it did 70 or 80 years ago, but I mean a lot of Europe might actually, because like a lot of Europeans are getting really fed up with like the fact that they're for their needs. They're speaking in the name of refugees more than their own people, like it's saddening, it's sickening. And I'm not like against refugees or anything. I don't think like refugees need to be shipped off and gassed or something, but to send them in countries that, as I said, the cultures are widely different, it's going to lead to nothing but trouble. And that's exactly what's happening in Europe now. And nobody wants to really take a good eye at it. Nobody wants to take a gander at it.
Well, if nobody wants to acknowledge the problem, it's like it's like we're trying to fight cancer with cough syrup.
That's the worst part in Europe. You're not allowed to acknowledge the problem. It's more offensive to talk about the crime than commit the crime.
I know.
It's sad. It's
like you said that, you can't say that about the refugees or whatever.
Like, did you see the meme where it's like, I don't know, it's like some EU union thing, and there's like a German guy waving a flag, and then Merkel grabs it, like throws it on the ground.
Really?
Yeah, there's like a little clip of that. I don't know. You can look it up on YouTube after the show or something. But...
Yeah. We got like a minute left. By the way, so I'll do a little. In that case, I'm going to thank everyone for tuning in, because we're about to hit the end of the show.
Sorry about the late fee at the moment. we had a technical difficulty.
Yeah, we had some technical problems at the beginning, but luckily we did get on the show. And if you notice that new audio quality, it's because we're now officially on mic. We might have we'll work this week. We should work on editing this and putting some graphics into it.
We will.
And then we'll publish it again on Facebook or something, or on YouTube. We'll put the recorded video and take the audio, put all the graphics and stuff like that. And because Yeah, that's because we said we are going to do that. But anyways, I'm going to thank everyone for tuning in. Thanks everyone for sticking by. And by the way, commies won this debate.
Mm-hmm. See, no,
yeah, commies won this debate.
No,
yeah, we won. I won.
I won this debate. I defeated you. You even admitted it. You've admitted what happened in Germany.
Well, okay, yeah, true.
About Jewish Bolshevism.
Okay, that's hey, we're gonna have to shut it down. Shut it down.
Oy vey, they know. The Goyim know. Shut it down.
Shut it down. Shut it down.
Point of no return and nobody can stop it. Malcolm Little when he knelt before Elijah Muhammad, the comet that killed the dinosaurs, changing the earth. They love to criticize, they always say I changed for the worse. Like prescription pills when you misusing them, nigga. The Templar Knights when they took Jerusalem, nigga, and figured out what was buried under Solomon's temple, Al-Aqsa. The name is not coincidental. I know too much, the government is trying to murder me. No coming back like cutting your wrists open vertically. How could the serpent be purposely put in charge of the country? Genetic engineered sickness spread amongst me. My people are so hungry that they attack without reason, like a fucking dog ripping off the hand that feeds them. Immortal technique is treason to the Patriot Act. So come and get me, motherfucker, cause I'm not coming back. This is the point from which I can never return.